Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters San Jose. We're on day one here for the Open qualifier. Sean's come back to the couch area with me, full of the sniffles. You've got a bit of a cold, mate.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep. Maybe I should move further away from you, but I think our producer might tell us off. Yeah, it's.
You're right though.
A lot of big events together, long travelling, but yeah. I'm good. I'm good. Just sniffled.
Sniffled. Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting game, but not really too helpful, really, for Intent. I don't know what he would have learned out of that. Really, difficult to get anything out of that. I mean, you always say play better players, you learn more, but what, if anything, did he learn?
In this type of environment, almost nothing, to be honest. It's very difficult to go from game to game to game and already know exactly what to do for the next time you play. You have to take time to look at what you did wrong, what he did right, and then kind of break it down and then move on. In this type of environment, that really doesn't happen. But I think it's safe to say that a lot of these players, apart from the two Koreans here, are probably hunting for that third position and looking to challenge the rest of the bracket.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at that bracket right now, actually, and update you on some of the results that have taken place. There are matches taking place all the time, of course, as well as the ones that we show you on screen. Just confirmation of the upper bracket. You'll see that the two teammates, Super and Gumio, into the upper bracket final. They're now both qualified for the group stages, but in which order we'll need to find out a little later on. I was making a little mistake, actually, because we thought that was the next one, or I thought it was the next game, but it's not. We are going to dip down into the lower bracket right now, where we're going to see Intense versus HuK play each other. Puck's also down there. He's waiting for the winner of Zanster and Kala, but that's a 1-1 right now. Does that surprise you in any way, Sean?
Not really. I think when you enter a big tournament like this, neither of them have really sufficient results to back anything that we can say, okay, they're going to do really, really well here. So I think it was pretty much a toss-up between the both of them, who's going to advance and who's going home here.
Okay. Intense and HuK now. HuK, disappointing that first game. We've come to expect a little bit more from him, I think, in the way that he plays. Or do you feel that maybe he was just up against a better player on the day?
It's a couple of things. I definitely think it's going up against a more difficult opponent can throw you off from the very get-go before you even play. But this is a matchup which is definitely got a lot of question marks surrounding it right now, whether the balance at the highest level is correct or not. And HuK has been very vocal about that on Twitter, Reddit, everywhere, that he doesn't think that it's a balanced matchup and that he is having troubles with that. So when you enter a tournament thinking with that type of mindset, sometimes your choices of strategies don't make sense, that you're doing moves that you shouldn't or usually wouldn't do. And I think that may have affected his gameplay a little bit.
Turning his attention to this particular match, and what has he got to do to put that behind him?
Well, I think both players actually can hold on to the same thing here, that they're both playing weaker opponents compared to the opponent they played first here. So it's technically going to be an easier game. But HuK is definitely a player who should always, in North America, be challenging for a position to be the best, to be the number one. And this is definitely one of those cases, again, where if he was to lose today, people would be surprised.
Looks a little colder than he did earlier on.
Multiple layers.
Not just one jacket, but that looks like two.
It's funny that, because maybe it's just under these lights, but I think it's quite warm in here.
I thought it was quite warm as well, quite warm in a shirt, but nevertheless, good experience for the young man, the 17-year-old local, and
yeah, lots of experience.
You know, we said he didn't really get much out, couldn't learn much from that, but he will learn about the whole tournament experience of playing big, great players, the map vetoes. We saw him enjoying himself actually on the camera as well, and it's all kind of part of it, isn't it? I mean, he's obviously enjoying it, despite the fact that we lost that game.
Yeah, he's definitely loving it, and for a 17-year-old, it is a lot of experience that he can take into the future parts of his career. Looking at the map veto, very surprised actually that Catalina keeps making its way into Terran versus Protoss here. I think that's maybe a surprise to a few people here, because Catalina is definitely one of those maps where Protoss struggled against Terran, yet it's made its way into the map selection.
I said to Roddy actually earlier on, it just started to do that towards the end of the season, didn't it? We just started to. It wasn't a very popular map when we first start the season, and inevitably new maps tend to take a little while to bed in unless they're very balanced, like Overgrowth, for instance. But it seemed towards the end of, towards BlizzCon, that Catalina was starting to become like, yeah, I'm okay, Terrans are all right, Zergs are all right, and even Protoss, to a degree, were kind of like, yeah, I'm okay with it.
Well, I think that a lot of Protoss players here are saying, well, to be honest, there's not two bad maps here that I don't really like. There's 3 or 4, so it's a matter of which ones they really don't want to play on. Is the replacement map there that was taken away instead of Catalina was Nimbus, another more so Terran-liked map there. So at the end of the day, I guess it's just how many can you get rid of? Yeah, you get further and further in this tournament, you're going to take less and less away. Of course, best of 5 and best of 7 later on.
Okay, we're going to head over to the commentators in a minute, but just quickly, on paper, on the matchup, this match to lose, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. This should be a 2-0 for HuK on paper, for sure.
Okay. Let's head over to the commentary team, find out whether we're right.
I don't know, Sean. I don't think it's going to be a 2-0 at all. It's possible, of course, but I think it's going to be pretty close, Johan. I've seen Intense quite a few times, and I was a little bit disappointed with the way that those last 2 games played out, because both games, Super did the exact same thing. It worked very well. Of course, it's difficult to play against. Calling it a 2-base all-in when he has 52 pros, that may be a little stretch, but in general, you don't recommend players just to make Colossus, no Forges, and then make like 14 Stalkers of 8 gateways. That's not really something that's easy to transition out of.
He was intending to do a lot of damage, and I mean, you have to pretty much kill your opponent or leave him with 15 SCVs, and even then, you know, sometimes not going to be enough.
Mules, the Mule Hammer it hits hard.
I like the discussion about the maps, you know, and much like what Apollo pretty much said, when you have 3 bad choices and you have to make at least 2, then yeah, there's going to be 2 bad choices in there, and you're going to be left with one of them, which in this map pool is going to be Catalina. And the vetoes, actually, we have the same map order here that we had in the previous game. So HuK vetoed the same maps that Super did. Man, this guy is so happy to be here.
That's awesome, isn't it? Isn't that the beauty of esports as well? Seeing someone at one of his first big tournaments ever. I saw him post a selfie today earlier as well on his Twitter, getting all the likes, of course. You know, these players, they may not seem like the superstars in esports, but they all have that, like, their little following. You know, like a bunch of people that really want to see the guy that they know pretty well take off and you know, play on the big stage. So it's really cool. To see someone like that, you know, hopefully perform. Yeah, no, those are the young guns. We have a few more in this area. It's actually funny because Southern California has more than just a handful of Grandmaster League players. So of course, California is a very populated state in the US, so you could say like, well, on average, there should be more GM players here. But Intense is one of these guys that we have around here that's very good. HuK definitely knows him, and like you said, you saw Intense versus Showtime, correct?
I know the score. No, I didn't see the games, actually.
I didn't see the games either.
Soon we're going to have one more Grandmaster player in California, by the way.
You know what it is.
Getting very close.
Alrighty, guys. As you can see, we are loaded into Catalina over here on the top side of the map. We have a red Protoss representing the evil geniuses. It is, of course, a HuK. And HuK is going up against a new one, a young gun, as Todd described him, representing Psystorm Gaming. A relatively new team as well, but they seem to be having all their duties in order. It is Intense. I've met the owner. You've met the owner as well, right, in DC? He's really cool.
Yes, I think so.
He offered to bring the people in like some fancy cars, and then Bitter is like, well, it's kind of hard to pull off in front of the, you know, one of the most populated streets in DC. But he's like, thanks for the invite, man. He's like, all right, maybe next time.
Okay, so Catalina here, we're going to start on probably the most difficult map out of the 3 for HuK. And yeah, I'm guessing, yeah, Intense at the first peak here. So that's nice for him. What does HuK have in store for us? Do you think, again, he's going to try to go into some kind of... Actually, there was a funny discussion that just took place. While the players were setting up, I came over, and I was talking to Intense about his last series. I was like, oh, man, that build is pretty sick. And then HuK asked what build. And then Intense looked at me, he's like, don't tell him. So I guess he didn't really see the last series or know what happens. So that makes it less likely he's going to do the same thing, which I guess is a good thing for Intense because he struggled a lot against this.
Interesting second pylon placement there by HuK, putting it in the back of his natural. Why would you do this as a Protoss player, Johan?
I mean, you're basically hoping that the Terran's going to scout your main, miss the second pylon and go crazy, start making turrets and bunkers, even though you're not particularly planning on being that cheesy or super aggressive early on. So sometimes it works, but a lot of the time, since you go for a scout with this, the Terran is still going to see that you have a pro pylon on the map that you're scouting, and he's going to know that you know, there isn't much to it. And in this case, Intense not even scouting with an SCV early on.
No, that would be a very, very quick Stargate. If this probe already dropped the Stargate, something is really wrong with Protoss.
Roddy builds, man.
Yeah, no, I wish, Johan, I wish. The Reaper is more than halfway out. Intense probably has a good idea that HuK spawned on the top side of the map as well. But most of the time, you just scout clockwise in on Catalina. We'll see. Like, I've seen HuK quite a few times in this matchup, PvT over the year. HuK is relatively okay in it. Of course, he's pretty vocal about it, that he thinks it's a relatively difficult matchup to play right now and that he doesn't think it's completely fair. But whenever HuK feels that he's better than his opponent, he often likes to take it nice and slow. This will give Intense a nice way to adjust to playing on a stage. And I really think that if Intense, you know, if you give him all the tools that Terran likes to use, you know, you give him the 3-rack setup, With the stim bio, you give him a couple of upgrades, combat shield as well, which he wasn't even able to get in that first time on Catalina. I really think he's a dangerous Terran player. He's pretty damn fast, he likes to drop, he likes to be very active on the map. Unfortunately against Super, we didn't really see him in that phase in the game. But if HuK gives Intense a lot of freedom, I think it's going to be pretty difficult for him.
Yeah, another thing that I heard when I went over to both players when they were setting up was that Intense is a lot more relaxed now. He finally got that, you know, that first match on stage out of the way, and he said that after that he was already feeling a lot better going into this match against HuK. So we might see, you know, him play a lot better than he did in the previous series, and I think he's gonna have to. I mean, as solid as he was looking in the previous game, from that moment when he met Super's units, he just fell apart. He just started losing units left and right and just kind of died outright. And you can't let that happen when you play against Protoss as good as Super or even HuK.
Cool scout over here by HuK. He will be able to identify that this is most likely the second barracks, because of course there's a Reaper on the map, and that means that he already had a tech lab. This mothership core is trying to be annoying, trying to pick up SCVs, but so far Intense is on top of his SCV control. He's going to usher this mothership core out as well with a few of these Marines. The robotics facility is very quick for HuK. That was a super quick roll, but I think it went down before the 5-minute mark even, or just a few seconds after it, like 5:05, 5:10. That's very fast. Wow, Intense played this without a bunker. In general, that's pretty ballsy. Yeah. Because if the Protoss chrono boost out 2 Stalkers, you know, some Protoss players like to do that, Johan.
I watch your stream.
You can have a field day.
It doesn't work, but at least you have some fun.
Hey now, Johan.
I mean, we saw HuK actually earlier play against Terran, and he was already doing that mothership core rush plus the Stalker at the front. So Intense, definitely a big mistake here. I don't think he lost that many SCVs. What was he like?
I think he didn't lose any.
Oh, he didn't lose any, but okay, he lost some Marines here and there, and he lost quite a few hit points on the SCVs in the main. If later on, you know, War Prism or something find its way to the main, he could lose quite a few. So gonna have to keep that in mind, and not the best start, not the worst either.
Or even like a weird build that we sometimes see from Protoss players. They go 1 gate fast expand and they follow it up with a Stargate. Like, I always think it's kind of hard to pull that build off, but a lot of Korean Protoss players do like it. And that's exactly what you said. If you already softened up a couple of those SCVs, if an Oracle flies in, Oracles already kill SCVs very quickly, but then they kill them even quicker, so that's really nice.
What do you know, man? Next thing you know, there is a carrier, a single carrier harassing SCVs and detonating SCVs.
Only the big ones can pull those off, Johan.
I don't even know how that's possible. Like to go, not only to go for this, but then make it work. But only in your game, surely.
Yeah, just on my level, Johan. I know you want to say that.
Hey, don't you think HuK's build is a little bit weird? Like, I feel like there is almost no other Protoss that goes for like Immortals the way he does, and then usually he goes into Blink behind this, and then late Colossus. And I feel like I've almost never seen him win with this too.
It's something like in the old days, you know, when HuK had some of those glory moments in the GSL, he was very successful with these army compositions of Blink, Stalkers, Immortals, Psystorm, and Archons. Like, that was kind of like his go-to thing. Even when all the other Protoss players really felt that Colossus were a must in every matchup, HuK was making some really cool stuff work with Sentries, Immortals, and then also later on Storms. So he's always been good in controlling this army, but I do agree with you. It's a little strange. We don't see it very often, and we also saw against Gumio, if you overextend once with it, your army has no DPS. If you get caught out of position, you have to run, but it's a slow army, so you can't really run. I kind of like how this is shaping up for Intense, to be honest. I think that everything is going well for him. His starport is about to finish up. He's going to switch it up with the factory, so he's going to pump out those medevacs, and then he's finally able to play some real TVP. And in certain phases in this game, he can really excel. Don't underestimate this young kid.
HuK did scout the bio play and the additional racks, so he needs to be careful.
Oh, force fields though.
Yeah, this is what HuK was hoping for in getting those Immortals, but he's not going to trap enough units for that big investments on Immortals and, you know, Sentries early on to be worth it, I feel. And he's actually going to move up the ramp.
Yeah, but he already stimmed a couple of times. Look how low HP all of these Marines are. If he stims one more time, then most of these Marines will literally get picked up.
Oh, he's going to force field the ramp!
Force field the ramp. That's a sick play if it were. Yeah, well, I guess he can just run away though. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, he might have to stim again. Everything's going to be on 1 hit points, and HuK might just barrel down that ramp, just go up and try and kill everything and kill off his opponent.
Yeah. He can't stim anymore with these units. They will literally stim themselves.
You heard what I said earlier about stimming that much.
I mean, he got a couple of units worth it, but I'm pretty worried for Intense now. How many units does he have left? It's 33 army supply against 38, actually. I'm surprised he has 33 army supply. It doesn't feel like it. I do really like the factory. That's going to zone a little bit... or going to basically function as a buffer. That's what I'm trying to say. The SCV is being pulled. SCV is very good against an army like this. I've said this before, but workers are pretty useful against Immortals. It takes a couple of shots for Immortals to deal with SCVs and stuff. So I kind of like that Intense is just trying to hang in there. HuK you know, he has done all right so far, but he has to be very careful here.
Yeah, both players actually. If Intense was to try and move down that ramp, he would lose a lot very quickly to force fields and that high DPS of the
Oh, I
Polos.
don't like this fog. You can drop force fields, I guess. That's why he's...
He has quite a few, right?
But he's playing with fire. Like, imagine if Intense gets one more medevac, he can actually just drop 2 medevacs behind his army and he can go for a big flank. And even I think 2 medevacs, oh, he's gonna pick up everything. HuK has no vision of these medevacs leaving the main base right now. Oh, this is dangerous. HuK is playing a very dangerous game. He's running up the ramp now. Hello, guess who's back? Here are these bio units. I think that Intense should have more than enough DPS here to win this fight, clean up these Immortals, pick up those Stalkers. Solid play by this young Terran.
He pulled some SCVs too. I mean, HuK has a Warp Prism out on the map, but that's not going to do anything. He's not going to get to the main anytime soon, and he can't afford to warp Zealots outside of his main. 16 army supply to 52 now. Intense is just going to look to finish the game right here and then.
Yep, I think Intense can just march across the map and actually do terrible things to HuK is natural. This Warp Prism, yeah, if you warp in units offensively, HuK, that means you have even less units at home. Intense is going to pick it up. He can also just start dropping in the main. Of course, there will be a Photon Overcharge, and I know Photon Overcharge is good, but it's not supposed to be that good, right, Johan?
That's my line. There might just be too much here.
Yep, I think it is
so much.
And that's a really cool move as well by the Terran. Dropping in the main, then you can actually stim down to the natural 8. He can only Photon Overcharge 1 base right now. Actually, he can do it twice, but there are just not too many units left here for our Protoss player HuK.
Yeah.
HuK is in a world of trouble, and like you said, I think the game is going to end right here.
HuK made the saddest Warp Prism I've ever seen. It's not on the map right now and did absolutely nothing this game, and he's just gonna die back at home. There is just too much here for Intense. The initial hold, the drop outside of the main was enough. GG.
Wow, solid play there by Intense. He really made the best out of a pretty dicey... that cheeky shot. This guy, he's awesome. That move, even though those units were zoned out of his natural, so he couldn't run back, I really think he made the best out of that hit squad. Look at that not bad impression as well. Like, he made the best of those units. He picked off a few sentries, then he walked all the way to the corner. He bought a lot of extra time for himself, which allowed him, like, yeah, he lost quite a few units, but when we checked the army supply when HuK's attack was about to hit, it's like 38 against 33. It's like, okay, that's actually something the Terran can still work with. Then he did a really good job using that factory as a buffer zone on top of that ramp, and then he picked up these units and flew out of his main when HuK didn't have vision of it. Just excellent crisis management there by Intense. I'm impressed, Johan. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, I am too. I'm a little bit surprised though at HuK because he saw that there was medivacs for quite a bit already. So now you see there is already 4 medivacs. He had already seen 2 of them. Surely he knows that this move is possible. He should have been headed home for quite some time. But I think he was probably hoping that Intense will be scared, stay up his ramp, in which case he would have pulled back now and dropped the Warp Prism in the main with some Zealots in it.
I do think if you take a look at the production tab, we see Blink is that a double robotics bay, by the way? Does it say it too?
Oh yeah. Nice observation, Roddy.
Sick build. Well, we missed it during the game. Lol, this.
Was that 2-0 sign?
Yeah. All right. You know, but what I was trying to say is, like, HuK had so many things going for himself at home that this was a classic case of just overextending, you know. He picked off a bunch of bio units, he even forced him to pull the SCVs once or twice. Obviously, the Terran was a little worried. I really do think that HuK was very close to that moment that we all know as a Protoss player. I'm going to stick around like 10-15 more seconds, and then I will drop the force fields, and then I will go home. You know, we've all been there so many times, and then suddenly...
Especially that moment it goes south.
Yep.
I've been there many times.
Yeah, me too. It's like, oh, no, I was like, I'm on stream, it's like, I should go home now, but I'm going to contain him a little longer. It's like, nope, should not have done that. I should not have done that. But great first game by Intense. Definitely a surprise. Let's see if he can take it all the way over here at day 1 of the Intox 3 Masters San Jose Open Bracket. As our second map is Kingston Junction Station, and we're loaded in.
And our red player here playing Protoss, it's going to be EG's HuK. Lost the first game, surprisingly, especially probably for Apollo, who predicted a 2-0.
Yeah, well, that's why I called him out. I'm going to call Sean out. He has all these notes, but he didn't see that one coming. Just kidding, Sean. I love you. Over here on the south side of Kingston Junction Station, we have our blue talented Terran representing Sidestorm Gaming. It is Intense.
And this guy here, actually, you know, in the previous game that he played against Super, if he had won that, he would have made it through to the groups. That's actually insane just to think about that. Here for, I guess, what we could call one of his first big tournaments. that I know of. I don't think he's been to any big tournaments.
Yeah,
before.
maybe like he attended an MLG Anaheim, you know, because it's relatively close. But of course, there are so many players competing in a tournament like that. If you qualify for an Intel Extreme Masters, there are 16 players at the main event. That's still quite a few, but you know you will get your moment of fame at an event like that. You know, there will be graphics prepared for you. Like, that's cool stuff, man. Like,
that's what you think about.
Yeah, no, of course, you showed it off to your friends in high school, man. You're like,
I want
hey,
graphics of me be made.
yeah, of course. Like, you get a cool little fighting pose and stuff. Like, that's what it's all about. You know, if you compete in a tournament with 128 players, you have to go very far to make it to that phase.
I've played twice in an MLG, and no graphics were made about me. That's what I can tell you.
But there are lots of other graphics of you out there on the internet, Johan. But for a young player, and let's also not forget that, like, qualifying for an IEM is always great, but qualifying for an IEM in an NHL stadium of the San Jose Sharks, like I love sports. I'm already pumped to go there. I cannot even imagine how it would feel to be playing in an arena like that. That's a very with graphics. You know it. That's a unique experience, man. That's a once in a lifetime esport experience. That's for sure.
Okay, HuK. What does he have in store here for us on King Sejong Station? With the way the previous game went, I'm pretty sure he's not going to want to go into Immortals and do the same timing and stay out there for this long, just because it just wouldn't work. I think if he wants to go for Immortals and try and make something happen, you need to commit to it a lot more. You know, drop down the like 6 gates or something, and just get a lot of Zealot sentries, not many stalkers, and go for the fight and kill your opponent right out. You know what? Intense. Even though he had tech to Medivac pretty quickly, I think he was only on 2 racks early on. He had so much bioforces.
Yeah,
and he skipped on the bunkers, I guess.
Yeah, because I guess he, as soon as he had that 1 Rex, he added the reactor on immediately, so he produced quite a few units. And you're right, he didn't make a single bunker, not early on, not later on as well. After I saw all these units from HuK march across the map, I was like, maybe a bunker would actually be a good decision here. But I totally agree with you. I actually think that Immortal play on this map is very good if you commit to it. It's a relatively popular build in PvT. Popular is maybe a big word, but we've definitely seen it more than once, where the Protoss player just runs across the map, because you can, of course, use the rocks as well. You can break those down and run up that ramp. This time we see 2 more Rexes going down for Intense, by the way, so it's a 3 Rex opening.
Yeah, with Gasless. Or...
No, I mean, I mean, he pulled them off the refinery for a bit after he got the Reaper. Just getting those extra few minerals in.
What do you call this build? The Pult build, the Bomber build? The anti-blink build?
I'm sure the Muslim calls it the Muslim build. But
I'm sure he's the only one too.
We see the Mothership Core working on his SCV as there are a few Marines to protect it. Intense is like on the money as well with these. Okay, now he loses 1 Marine. He could have left 1 Marine behind to shoot. But in general, you don't want to fight a Mothership Core with just 2 Marines. He's playing so ballsy, by the way. Never gets a bunker. You can, of course, say that he has a Reaper out on the map, so he kind of knows. But this is risky, man. Like, if a Proto, like, this is really frustrating. This can actually go very bad for Intense. Oh, well, here we go. That's why you want to get a bunker in general. The Reaper is a frustrating unit as a Protoss player. Even though it doesn't deal that much damage, it's faster than the Stalkers. It's really important that he got that final few seconds in on that command center. So at least that one is done by now. You want to be careful that you don't lose a Stalker, but overall,
I think to pull this many walkers, his income is gonna...
It's hurting, man.
He's gonna go down a lot.
Quick Twilight.
It's so weird that Intense is so reluctant to make any bunkers. Maybe you watched Innovation against Sion from BlizzCon.
Okay, now we have 1 Marauder as well over here. But still, this party is not over yet for HuK. HuK wants to get some additional damage in. He gets another Marine. He has to be careful. He's going to lose one of his Stalkers. He follows this up with Twilight Council, by the way. And the way that this is opened, Johan, I wouldn't be surprised if this is more than just defensive blink or blink to control the pace of the game.
How many gates you think?
I think just... okay, well... I don't know. He's on 4 right now. He could add 1 more, but I think 4 gate blink stalker pressure of like pseudo 2 base. It's not really 2 bases. I'm surprised he gets a sentry because he didn't take any assimilators in his natural, so he doesn't have that much gas. But I guess blink is still a long way off. This Reaper is very important. Intense needs to figure out that HuK is doing aggressive blink styles over here. He needs to see this as soon as possible. But he's already
finally get some bunkers. Man.
Yeah, he needs a bunker. He's already squeezing out Marauder, so that's going to help him. This Mothership Core has been a real nuisance. 5 kills! 5 kills on an MS core. Johan, that's not a ruddy MS core, that's what it is.
Bunkers are too intense, what scans are too bomber, man. Just prefers to get mules, and in this case, Intense prefers to get more units. The Reaper sees the Twilight Council, it sees no gas on the natural, so right now this should be a big tell as to what might come. But still, we don't see any bunkers starting. Intense is getting more SCVs, man. He's using those minerals to get the boys.
He's like, I'll throw down a supply depot. I mean...
He He has a little bit of
Yeah.
money. Like he could very easily get to a few bunkers, but he starts the factory.
I am pretty much as surprised as you are. The tech lab, by the way, is it's a little bit on the other side of the map, so I don't think it's going to fall. That factory gets cancelled. That's already a nice pickup for HuK, because that's going to give him a lot of time until Medivacs will be out eventually. A couple of units are being pulled. Time Warp going down on the left side over here as well. So these buy units are a little bit late to the party. HuK's probably going to blink more Stalkers into the main. He's losing a lot of Stalkers over here though, Johan.
Oh, he needs to move them to the right here. The army down there is going to start shooting at the Stalkers.
Yeah, the army is on move command. Intense had his units on move command. He could have had a lot of shots up over there. Stim is ready though. That one Stim Marauder should be able to kill these 3 Stalkers.
Yeah, he's killing a lot actually. He's just going to hold anyway. How many workers did he lose?
He lost quite a few, but of course this was a pretty big
Just
investment
9.
for HuK as well. And Intense actually has way more army supply. He's on 23 against 10. Of course he did lose the factory. Tense game, like for us this is, you know, we're just watching some StarCraft. For HuK this is a really big moment. His tournament life is on the line. He's had a pretty solid 2014. It was a lot better than 2013. But this would be an extremely disappointing tournament performance if he would lose 2-0 against Intense. And Intense just laughs in the face of danger.
He laughs in the face of death, or HuK here. He starts at third base. I mean, why not? He lost what, 9 SCVs? Like this kind of attack usually can kill a lot more than that. So just losing 9 here, he's gonna have the mules that he can use. He knows what tech is his opponent on. He knows what the transition could be. A lot of the time it's gonna be Colossus, obviously. And I guess he's feeling comfortable enough. And in this case, there wasn't even a Robo Mage just yet. This was a massive commitment on Blink Stalker play, and somehow he just didn't do much enough.
When there's a lot of Chrono Boost energy available for HuK. He has 75 on both neck side. That's you know, that's a lot of Chrono Boost. He could have had way more workers, or he could have had a few extra gateway units. I guess this is just one of these moments where HuK doesn't really know how he wants to spend his Chrono Boost energy, but he's in trouble, man. I think, you know, a lot of Protoss players, we have been here, and now you know you need to make something happen with these Blink Stalkers. You need to get lucky with a Medivac snipe, or maybe just hop into his main when he's about to leave, and then the Terran player retreats. Because if this game just plays out straight up, the Terran is going to have an overwhelming amount of units in the near future, and your army is not going to have any DPS at all.
I can't believe that HuK didn't watch Super against Intense. It was like, if you think about that series and you have to, you know, you might have to play Intense next, it's like, well, please show me how to do well against him or beat him. Man, if I was in this tournament, I would have, as a matter of fact, let me plug in my keyboard and mouse and play against Intense. I would love to try. But yeah, I'm really surprised. Like, the way he's playing right now, it really looked like he made a big mistake in missing those games and didn't particularly know what to expect out of Intense, or at least misread it, because so far the aggressions he's gone for, they just haven't worked.
But I mean, let's be honest, Intense is not doing something here that we've never seen before, yo. And these are pretty standard openings. Reaper into Expand into 2 more Rex. I even thought the Mothership Core Stalker opening was pretty successful for HuK. I don't think that's where it went wrong. I just think the execution of his Blink Stalker attack, that's sort of where it went wrong. He went with a reasonable amount of units, but in the end it was just not enough. And maybe he mispositioned his units. He lost the Mothership Core in a crucial moment. Getting the factory snipe though is really what kept him in this game, by the way. Otherwise, right now we have like 4 to 6 Medivacs out on the map. He's being dropped and he has to worry about his front at the same time. It is absolutely game over, but I still really like this position for Intense. Army supply, you guys may look like, oh, 102 against 105. That's a pretty even game, but it's a 3-base Terran against the 2-base Protoss. There are upgrades on the way for a Terran as well. I think Intense is in a phenomenal position.
And HuK was forced into some sort of MC situation here, where you do some Blink Stalker aggression early on that doesn't kill your opponent, then you go into charge, and you add some tech, either Templars or Colossus, in this case Colossus, but you still make a lot of gateway units, which, I mean, if you look at HuK's army, he's made already quite a few Zealots and remade some Stalkers, so he has a good army on the ground to crush anything that could be thrown at him. Intense, he identifies this, pulls back, and he's gonna take his sweet time knowing he has a much earlier third that he's going to convert into a big supply lead here very soon. So I like the decision, and yeah, Intense is in a great position to just 2-0.
I don't think there's too much that HuK can do right now anymore. The only thing that you can do as HuK is just try to hang in there for dear life, man. Oh my god, look at the work count, by the way. It's 48 probes against 63 SCVs. That is insane. That is such a great economic advantage for Intense. Going Colossus when you're behind in economy is not something I'm a big fan of in general, because as a Terran player you just want to throw up your second starport. There were a few bunkers going down. I think Intense thought that maybe HuK was faking going up to 3 bases and was about to attack him, but that's why he threw the scan as well, and he saw the army retreating. But here is that second starport. Like, this is one of these games, Johan, that if you pump out 8 to 10 Vikings and then you pull the boys, I don't know how Protoss is supposed to defend it.
I don't think he will, though. I don't think he will bring the SCVs. And HuK is doing a fantastic job of keeping a bit supply, by the way, given the circumstances.
I don't like that move. That's I mean, overall Intense has way more than enough units, but a few of the units were way ahead of the rest of the pack, so you want to be careful with that. HuK is looking for some force fields. He gets a few units, but he loses more zealots in return, so that didn't go too well for him either. Man, this is such a difficult position for HuK to be in now. I'm extremely worried. The Viking production is almost at full speed. We're going to see 3 Vikings being produced at the same time.
He's not making probes anymore. I think HuK might just go for an attack here. He just got +2 armor. Oh, be careful. Catastrophe almost happened here. An avalanche on top of
If he
his
picks
army.
everything up and he flies to the main, I wouldn't go to the natural though. I feel that the units are a little too close to be in the natural. But if he would go to the main via the left side, I think that would be a very, very solid play.
Intense would love, solid indeed. Intense would love for something like that to happen. Just HuK just to move out.
Okay.
Both players tried some moves here. HuK brought back the Stalkers, hoping to maybe blink under some Medivacs and snipe them. The Templar Archive here, maybe the light at the end of the tunnel for HuK and one of his better chances to do well in this game. Because right now the Viking count is catching up to all the Colossi that he has.
And look at the Widow Mine. Interesting amount of Widow Mines in this phase in the game while playing against the Colossus player. Of course, Charge is on the field as well, but not normally. Normally we don't see 8 Widow Mines in this phase. I don't really mind it though. It can do great things. It can also hurt your unit, so you have to be very careful with it. Intense is throwing down a 4th command center. Now that's a very mature decision, but I actually would have loved to see him just kind of bum rush HuK, because I really think that he has... You know, his army is just so much stronger than the army of HuK that if he squeezes out those Vikings and he pulls the boys, I don't think without Storm you can ever defend it, and HuK should never have Storm in time after the way this game opened up.
Here we go. Intense is maxed out. He's got quite a bit of money behind this. He can remake a lot of units. HuK trying to squeeze out as many units as he can, but he's actually going to be supply blocked here in a second, and he's far from maxed out. He would like to have the Spylons up right now already. I think he has a Templar Archive. Yeah, I think he made it, so he can get some Archons to maybe help him defend and stay alive in this game. He's going to need those.
Army supply is 109 against 130 now. Of course, there is a defensive photon overcharge as well, and you have to worry about force fields. So HuK has the numbers to hang in there. 6 High Templars being warped in now. So that's a bunch of Archons. Actually, 8 High Templars even. Man, how did he have so much gas? That's crazy.
He's slowing down too much. I guess he's afraid of the Colossus and to engage into the photon overcharge. So he's going to give HuK time to basically almost max out and get Archons, which is... It's a big deal here.
Yep, the Viking number is currently at 10 against 3 Colossus, but soon to be 4, and I don't think that 10 Vikings against 4 Colossus is ideal.
Yeah, the Ghost Academy here starts very, very late for Intense, who I feel like missed his timing here.
No,
Pulling SCVs or not, he had to attack. I mean, ideally he would have. That's Protoss players saying that.
I kind of felt that he slowed, I felt like he could have dropped the second Starbit a little bit quicker. This should still be an okay fight over here though for Intense, because there's only 3 Colossus over here. The 4th one is not here. Widow Mines will do, I don't know, kind of a couple of random shots. One Colossus is still pushing out a lot of damage. One of these Immortals is pushing out a lot of damage as well. And HuK actually comes out victorious over here in this fight so far, Johan.
Yeah, this was an ideal fight for HuK. 4 Archons at the front to tank. His entire army was under Guardian Shield's protection. And he's just going to chase this and kill, I think, every Medivac. And maybe win the game right there and then. Intense just missing his timing here.
Well, Intense had 2,000 minerals in the bank as well during all that. He's going to try to destroy these rocks to buy a little bit of extra time for himself. HuK doesn't want to overextend, so he wants to take his time now. There are still 2 Widow Mines over here in the left top side of the map.
Which is a mistake, actually. He should be attacking with all the supply that he has. Even if he trades, as long as he kills like a ton of SCV, he's going to be so far ahead economically.
Did you see that 4th base? Yeah, he saw the 4th base as well. HuK,
no PF.
He just like absolutely demolished Intense in the fight. It was a very, very convincing victory. Like you said, ideal fight with the Archons. At first I was still worried because I felt there was so much potential damage in that bio army. But 1 Colossus just for too long. Those Archons did a great job. The Widow Mines, I don't know what they shot at. I think it was kind of in between HuK's army and Intense army. So overall nothing died. And HuK, man, tournament life is on the line. He was in a pretty tricky position, but he hung in there.
Yeah, and he's actually going for a Dark Shrine, which could do very well. There is no bunker, I believe, at the 3rd base or turrets for Intense. And I don't think HuK got the memo that you're supposed to go Dark Shrine when you're behind. Now, the moment he got ahead is when he made it, but it still could do well. The Zealots run by here. Actually could give him a good opportunity to go to the middle of the map and snipe that base. Let's see if he takes it.
HuK is a great player. If you give him 4 bases, if you give him a lot of minerals to expand or like just to spend all around the map, good for Blink there as well. Gets 2 Vikings for his efforts. Killing Vikings in this phase in the game is always very important because Colossus, like we saw in that last fight, even when just 1 Colossus survives the Viking wave, you're already putting yourself in a really, really good position. Intense be careful. Oh, did he lose all medevacs? He only has 2 medevacs
Oh my
on the
god,
map.
that's more than a run by. That's actually a chunk of his army just bleeding away and being warped in here and attacking the third base.
That's a bunch of hooligans right there, you know. Just ravaging this poor Terran town. Never saw it coming.
The factory is gonna die, which I guess he already has 2 starports, so he doesn't care all that much here, Intense, but taking some economic damage here and there. Yeah, right now for Intense, I mean, both players are trying to max out. The thing is, Intense, I don't think he has any ghosts. And we have a HuK who has so many Templars out on the map who can warp in a lot more. He's got quite a few gas.
Not repairing his planetary fortress is a pretty big mistake. That PF should have not died like that because these units were kind of just shooting at everything. There are not too many bio units fighting the rest of these units from HuK over here either, and it seems like HuK is gonna be able to win game number 2 after all, despite you see a little bit fist pump there because he knows it as well, Johan. He was in a pretty tricky position.
Yeah, this close to be eliminated, barely held on, and in the end, quite fortunate that Intense just didn't basically, I guess, move and steam at the third base because maxed out against 170 army supply. I wonder why Intense was worried. You know, maybe since it's again the first time he plays on a big stage like this, you start thinking, oh, it's my winning moment, and then suddenly he pulls back and he ends up allowing HuK to get 4 Archons.
Okay, so all these Widow Mines, the Widow Mines didn't even shoot at all. These Vikings are just a little bit too exposed, and this one Colossus that just survives forever. There are a lot of Marauders in the mix, and of course Marauders don't trade very well.
The Guardian Shield was
Archons.
on the entire army, which is not ideal for the Terran too. No Ghost here, and no Ghost inside too. Like he just got the Ghost Academy, but didn't have time to make one.
Yeah, wow. HuK definitely escaped there, Johan. I think it's safe to say. Like I said during the game as well, I felt Intense plays very mature. You know, he's like ahead and he's trying to drop a 4th command set. That's so safe. It's like, no, you know, just try to win in like what sometimes they say in an uglier way. Just pull those workers, make a bunch of Vikings, and then just stim a couple of times. And I think he would have been able to win. There's no way that HuK, if this attack would have happened even earlier, I don't think we have to focus too much on the 200 against 170. But even before that, like he could have dropped the main a couple of times, and all these Protoss units, they would just kind of walk into the main one by one. And you're gonna get bad trades as a Protoss regardless. It would have been so hard.
We've all seen Iaguz's games in WCS America already. Just pull the boys and you win right out against Colossus. That is a lot of the time, and in this situation I do think that it would have done very well.
I totally agree. If you're in a good position as a Terran, if you had a very good early game, and this was the case, like yeah, the first 2 medevacs were a little later because he lost the factory, but he had a massive economic advantage. A 3-base Terran against a 2.5-base Protoss while being up 16 workers as a Terran. Man, my Terran is not very good, Johan, but if you give me those tools, then...
You want to resume from replay with...
I'll think about it. If I can find the T button on my keyboard, I'll do it.
Overgrowth gonna be our 3rd map here between these two, who by the way I think they are ranked 2 and 3 right now on the NA ladder. Not bad.
I saw that as well. That's kind of cool. You know, that's a little bit of background information for some of the people who are perhaps not super familiar with competitive StarCraft. But of course we have the ladder, and right now in Grandmaster League, the highest division of StarCraft to play, these 2 guys are both within top 3. So that's.
Have you played either of them recently?
Not recently. Like in the past, I've played them quite a few times. HuK pretty much always beats me, and Intense. Well, he beats me in straight-up games, but when I throw the Roddy Builder too, Johan, it gets a little dicey.
Okay. All right, starting in the top right-hand corner of Overgrowth here is going to be our red Protoss Evil Genius's HuK.
So I'm fist pump a couple of times. Really gets to show as well. Like I said before, you know, for us, it's just the start of the tournament, so we take it easy. We're having a good time with these matches. But for players like HuK, that was a really big game because he does not want to drop out that early, especially not because this is a lower bracket that's full of non-Koreans, and we know that HuK takes a lot of pride in not losing to non-Koreans. He's not too outspoken about it, but you just know that he's been doing well and he expects himself to advance.
He actually is just off camera. I'm just kidding.
No.
Oh,
Yeah, he expects himself to do well.
Yeah, after losing his first series to Gumio, I was talking to him a little bit backstage, and he was already looking into the bracket and who he would have to play, and he did agree that he had a good chance basically to still make it anyway, even though he lost his first match. So here I'm sure he was surprised that he lost the first game against Intense, and he's still looking on on advancing himself after winning 2-1.
Of course, over here on the left bottom side of Overgrowth, we do have the blue Terran that you just mentioned, still representing Sidestorm Gaming. It is Intense. I saw him drop the supply depot already, and he's dropping the gas now as well, expecting a Reaper opening from our young gun. It can be very difficult, Johan. You know this as a competitive player as well. If you're up 1-0 in a best of 3, especially if you're the underdog. Now, in your Warcraft 3 days, you were not the underdog very often. Like, I'm gonna give you that. But in StarCraft 2, you've been the underdog a few times. Sorry, mate. This is the truth. You've seen both sides of the coin. But if you are the underdog, like if you go up against one of these top Koreans, you're up 1-0, and you know that things are going very well for you in game 2, and you lose it. It's hard to play game number 3.
I'm actually the king of throws, so even in best of 1, I'm familiar with the situation. Like to be doing well. I played against some very strong Koreans in best of 1 format in the team leagues, and quite a few times, even up against MMA back in the day. So I think there was this one game on Pressure Vestige where I was doing really well, and then my mind got a little bit messed up, and then I just ended up losing. So
what do you what do you think about things during your match? Like
man, I'm thinking about the tweets, the graphics, Reddit, the pictures, the fame, the money.
It's really funny. Like I just told this story the other day. I had that too. Like sometimes during games, I was already like, oh man, I can't wait to see what the people are gonna write about me. Like I played so well, and then I still end up losing the series. It's like, damn it, what's wrong with me? Why don't I focus? I'm glad that wasn't just me.
Those social media, man. Twitter poisoning our minds.
Alright, we see the SCV scout over here across the map. From Intense, he will identify that HuK has indeed expanded as well.
Oh, you can get a free IEM San Jose ticket. Did I say that right? How do you say? Do you say San or San?
I say San Jose.
San Jose.
I don't know. We'll figure it out
We're
over the weekend.
pretty bad at languages. So.
We'll figure it out over the weekend once we're actually there. No, I think it's just San Jose. That sounds pretty legit to me.
Okay.
Yeah, when we watch the NHL.
You can get a free tickets. That's pretty sick, man.
Or you can just use Rotterdam for 15% discount and support esports.
Yeah, I wonder what people should pick between that and that.
Hey, people is like, hey, if we can help Roddy with this, well, you help the tournament. So with that, you help me. We see Rex number 2 going down in the main race. This is the same opening that Intense used on Catalina. And it went very well for him, that map. I think Overgrowth is a funny map in this matchup. I've been a little bit vocal about this. I love PvT. I think it's fun to watch. It can be difficult to play, but I still enjoy it. But Overgrowth is one map that I've seen play out the same so many times. It often comes down to that big fight at the third base of the Protoss player when the SCVs are pulled and there's a bunch of Vikings trying to kill the Colossus.
He could have stayed and finished that command center. It's like literally 1 second away from finishing.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes it's better to lose the CV, but like finish the command center immediately and morph it into an orbital.
And load it up.
Oh, yeah, smart play. But then you can morph it into an orbital, right?
No, but momentarily, yeah. But you do save the SCV at first. The Reaper just dying here. Intense kind of falling apart. Like very bad early game here for him. And he's going to stay on just 2 barracks for now.
And again, Johan, he doesn't have a bunker. And this is a map. I mean, he does have a 2 rack, so never mind. The Marauder will be out soon. But still, this is kind of silly, because now he's going to have to worry about these Stalkers that will get a couple of free shots off on these Marines, and then your Marines are not full HP, and some people have OCD, and it's annoying.
It's time for the top 3 control. He sees a Marauder and kind of chickens out. Actually, yeah, he could have done a lot here, even if there is a Marauder. Maybe afraid there might be concussive shells.
Exactly. For us, it's easy to see. We know there's no concussive shells on the way, but...
You know one way to find out? You stay and you fight.
Then you get tagged and you're like, hey, my Stalker is...
That's also a very good way to lose the game.
Yep. Takes a lot of damage on his Stalkers, and now Intense is actually the one that's marching across the map. He's going to try to find that Mothership Core. Of course, HuK doesn't want to recall. HuK doesn't see the bio units. The bio units don't see the Mothership Core. They're very close to spotting it. Oh, now he's going to see it. I actually think he's going to force a recall or kill it.
Hashtag Mothership Core.
No, he's going to kill it, John. Oh, okay, time warp. That's smart too.
Yeah, but then he doesn't have enough energy. How much energy did he not? 63. Yeah, not going to have a photon overcharge on time, but I guess there's too little bioforces to do much, and now Intense knows that this is...
Still though, if he gets 2 Stalkers, yeah, he gets 2 Stalkers. Wow. Might even get 3 if HuK messes up, but HuK is top 3 control. No, not today. Loses 3 Stalkers, and he has a time warp, and let's not forget that the Mothership Core is very low on HP as well.
Why are these units coming in?
So, oh my god, HuK is in a little bit of trouble. He's going to lose a sentry now as well. That's another 100 gas, and 1 more Stalker is going down. Wow, Intense is really fighting back over here on Overgrowth. This has just been a very scrappy game all around.
Yeah, I didn't think these units were gonna achieve, especially the second wave here. But I guess killing the sentry, a pretty big deal here. Not gonna have any Guardian shields, possibly on the next fight. You see, he re-warps, I think, immediately 1 sentry. And yeah, Intense, he pretty much found out that there was quite a few Stalkers made early on, which is going to sacrifice tech here for HuK, that there was at least 2 gates, or I would have even said 3 if I was the Terran here, and seen this many Stalkers. What else did he see? Did he see the Robo?
He saw everything.
Okay,
he saw the Forge, he saw the Twilight Console, he saw the Robotics Facility, and he saw the Robo Base. So
he knows that the Protoss is going for everything.
Yes. That's like scouting the Zerg base. It's like, okay, Roach Warren, Hydra Den, Spire, Infestation Pit.
He's going
Let's
Mutas, right?
Let's make Colossus. 4 more gateways going down for HuK.
Okay, gonna go up to 6. This could be
and he's
the
tough.
super build, the
And
HuK version.
Yeah, but he does have a Forge, so it's already a little bit different. Intense, this time he has Stim, so HuK has to actually be paying attention over here. He really doesn't want to end up losing like 10 workers over here, so Intense is just going to Stim in. Force fields go down, but they're, well, actually they're good, solid force fields. He gets a couple of Marines, traps the Marauder. Well done there by HuK.
This last Marine and Marauder is so sad. Just trapped in there. What's across the map? Is that 2 observer?
It's a single observer.
No, there is something in the main. Oh yeah, 2. Okay. Better than just 1. You can see everything. Which is, I guess he sees the 2 additional barracks, which by the way,
It's really important.
Intense goes for every single time. He never went for a 3rd CC before adding on extra barracks.
Yeah, and when I saw that, I was actually surprised that he died against this build from Super, because like going for X number 4 and 5 before Command Center number 3 should normally allow you to produce enough units as a Terran player to not die against 2 base Protoss attacks, but
the super build is really sick, man.
would you say it's a super build?
I'm gonna say it's gonna become the Roddy build as soon as you tweak it and make it better, yeah.
Well, we'll see. My hands are a little slow when it comes to those blinks, you know. 1 base PvP, that's what I can handle, and after that, it's like so many units.
Once we go past 12 Stalkers.
Yeah, no, this thing's getting tricky. So, I mean, HuK had 2 of okay, he still has an observer in the middle of the map. I was about to say if he has both ops in the main, you kind of want to have a defensive observer as well. It was a really good scout by HuK, because of course we saw Rex number 4 and 5, but HuK saw it as well. Oh wow, I don't know where the Zealot came from. Man, that's Tom Clancy, the Zealot.
I think he walked in from up the ramp in his main and just walked it around, which is always nice. You know the timing of the 3rd CC, you kind of delay it a little bit. Yeah, I think HuK is just going to want to look to take a 3rd base here.
Well, he goes for a forward blink there. Gets 2 Marines for his efforts.
Intense remembers the game against Super and just pulls back.
Like still, normally, HuK has to be careful with all these forward
Why
blinks.
is he getting Immortals even though he has a Robo Bay?
Because Intense does make a lot of Marauders. He already has 8. And he's producing 3 Marauders at a time.
Ooh, HuK made a lot of Stalkers just now. Is he looking to do a timing even though he's taking a 3rd? I guess maybe on the... No, okay, no, he's splitting his Stalkers away now.
Scan goes down. Kills the Observer.
Templar Archive is going down as well.
I don't think that HuK can do this actually, Johan. I mean, if the force fields are good, how many Vikings do we have? Okay, we don't have actually that many. I think HuK can do this. The force fields are good.
Oh, there is no Thermalance actually.
Wow.
But I don't think he cares. The force fields were good enough for now to section a big part of this army and kill it. HuK is behind his supply, but it's very hard for Intense to engage into this and win.
So this answers your previous question, why is he making Immortals? Because he doesn't actually really want to make Colossus. He didn't get Thermal Lens, which I think is on purpose, because he stopped producing Colossus at 2, and now he's adding a very quick Twilight Console. This is one of the oldest Protoss tricks in the book. You pretend like you're committing to Colossus, but actually a nice little pickup there on the Marauder. Like you force out Vikings, you hope that the Terran drops a 2nd starport as well, but then suddenly it's like, surprise, here's Storm.
Yeah. There's probably a mind game here too of basically saying you didn't pull SCVs in the previous game, there is a good chance you're gonna do it in this one. So I hope that you make a lot of Vikings. Try to counter my Colossus play with an SCV pull and a lot of Vikings, and in which case you don't have Ghosts usually, or sometimes you do the all-in with 3. I'm gonna have Templars and I'll just kill you.
So HuK has done this very well so far. He has kept those 2 Colossus alive. His Storm is halfway done. There is a 2nd starport in the main base of Intense. He is producing 3 Vikings at once, and he's doing this a little quicker than before as well. He even has double reactor. He can produce 4 at a time if he truly wants to. So I kind of like how this game is shaping up for HuK.
Yeah.
Like whenever I go for this tech switch and I can get away with it, as soon as I have my access to my Storm, I don't really care that I'm like a little bit behind economically, that I was down a few workers. I'm just happy that I made it through that phase in the game, and I know that this game is gonna go on for a while, because if Terran, if he wants to rush into Storm, well, good luck, have fun with it.
Very few Terrans can actually win against High Templars without Ghost. Team Muslim is one of the rare ones. Yes, we hated early on. Need to show him some love too. I once lost a game on this map with 10 plus High Templars against no Ghost.
Yeah, but Ben is pretty good. He's good in like splitting up small sections of Marauders, big name. Bolt is of course one of these players as well that doesn't really make a whole lot of ghosts in general and likes to just rely on 6 splits and of course being able to pick the Protoss player apart. It's just it's a preference thing. Intense already showed us on King Sejong Station, even when he was in a good position, he went up to 4 bases and dropped the Ghost Academy, so he will most likely do it over here once again. I would be lying if I said I saw a whole lot of super late game Intense TVP. So we'll see how his army control is, but he might be a little bit nervous as well. So I think it's going to be difficult for him to land those dream EMPs that he's looking for.
Just 6 High Templars so far, and I'm saying just 6. That's still quite a few storms available here for HuK, who's even getting cannons at the 3rd base. He knows that if he holds this, he's going to be in a great position. The Ghost Academy starts now. And Intense, does he attack or not? He just scans and saw the High Templars.
I wouldn't mind him to see getting a small fight, you know, let those Vikings get a couple of free shots off on these Colossus, and then there's a Warp Prism indeed in the right bottom side of the map. Like, ooh, okay. Okay, the first big drop, but HuK is actually so well prepared to deal with drops. I think he had High Templars in his main. No, he still has High Templars in his main.
And 3 cannons, 3 in-control cannons. Placed here in the middle.
No, the in-control cannons will be on the other side of the map in your natural.
Man, those that Warp Prism was even sadder than the one on Catalina here. He just flew in, didn't warp in anything and got sniped.
I'm very worried about this drop. I think HuK's going to drop 2 storms. He's going to warp in a bunch of Zealots. This is a big commitment. HuK already saw this coming in as well. That's 4 out of 5 feedbacks. I don't... Okay.
The Nexus is dead?
Yeah, all these units are committed. All these cannons are going to go down. A lot of Piners will be unpowered. Interesting decision there. We'll see how it plays out. So far, Intense. Of course, these
What's
units...
the escape plan, man?
Yeah, there is none. Shawshank Redemption here. Actually, he escaped in that movie. What am I talking about? Shit, I spotted. No! Anyways, these units are committed for a little while. Gateway is going to get picked off. Lots of... It wasn't that bad for Intense. Not at all, Johan. Yeah, he's going to lose a few units.
Yeah.
But
those who are very expendable units.
Yeah, exactly. And at the same time, he's moving out with units on the left side of the map.
The Medivacs could get sniped here. 2 of them are going to die. And
Feedback.
Intense is looking to maybe try and snipe that 4th base, but then he will be stuck in that corner of the map and lose everything. So he's going to
step
regroup.
forward. He's going to try to go for the Colossus
no
and High
Medivacs.
Templars. Yeah, indeed. And he's actually eating those storms as well. Just when Intense was up 30-40 supply, he just threw most of it away.
Get showered, man. Just steps under the storms and
free
loses
Colossus.
everything.
Free Colossus. Free Colossus.
Nope. Not really survives.
Oh,
one Marauder is going around to try and snipe it.
the Marine. The Marine had a dream.
didn't
Anyway, another big drop in the right top side of the map, and this time HuK, he still has a lot of Zealots there. He's messing up his control a little bit. You see HuK, his units are dancing back and forth, but now he did send enough Zealots to the main base, so he's
All those
fine.
Medivacs, man. Literally a breath will kill them here from any of the units.
We're looking at 3 goals now, still only 5 High Templars.
Oh,
and
he didn't take out the debris here, Intense. He has enough Vikings too. Oh my god, he has so many Vikings. What is happening?
he has 16 Vikings against
1 red hit points Colossus.
This too, actually. I don't know what. He should use these Vikings to harass, like 4GG style. He's gonna lose his 4th base. That's a very nice pick off here for HuK.
Oh,
the
it's
boys?
time. It's time. Then how many Templars are there left now?
There were 5. Yeah, he still has 5. 3 of them are on the left top side of the map. Intense. He's been playing some good StarCraft, but he's very sloppy with his Medivacs.
Only 1 Templar with his army, though. That's going to be a single
Wow.
storm against this army. Man, that 1 Colossus. Goodbye.
But where are the bio units? Okay, there's a drop going on in the right top side of the map as well. Really cute drop positioning over here, but I guess the main fight is more important for now. As
The Ghost never really got in there and got some EMPs off, so now Intense, he always has like low hit points unit running around, steaming with Medivacs, like being a mile behind. It's a little bit weird.
So Intense doesn't really have a whole lot of SCVs left. He does still have 115 army supply, but 32 of it is in Vikings, and they have like nothing to kill. Oh my god! No, he made more Vikings. He has 23 Vikings. That's 46 supply in Vikings against 1 Colossus, man.
Yeah.
Run! Like, can we take a look at this Colossus flow? Because this Colossus over here in the 3rd base
Just
of HuK.
hide it somewhere.
Just put it in the corner. Like,
He's actually alone by himself.
you don't want to be there, man. You're not long for this world.
He's being sent ahead as a scout.
There are 23 Vikings coming for him.
How many Templars? Back up to 6. I mean, the ground army for HuK there is so many Zealots. He could literally win the ground fight with just the Zealots, I think.
Okay, there is a drop going on the left top side of the map as well. There are a couple of storms raining down on these Marauders. I like that Intense is finding an opening with this. Ooh, HuK miscontrolling High Templar.
Oh, the Archon is
does land the feedback, and the Archon is tripping.
struggling to get out of here. Everything is gonna die before the Archon finishes. Big warping of Zealots here to defend. Oh, I think... Oh, he just got stormed there. Intense.
These
He's having a tough time. I can't believe there is this many Vikings.
I can't believe it.
Would have been so funny if HuK just added like 2 double robo and went for like triple
Yeah.
Colossus production.
Yeah, he's like tries to go for the double mind game and he runs into 23 Vikings. Like if Intense would have been like this with his Viking production on King's at Young Station, he would have won that game,
Yeah.
like hands down. Because that game, the Colossus were very important, were a crucial part of HuK's army. This game, they were just temporary. They were fake and they were there to, of course, survive against early bio pressure.
You know what Intense should do? I think he should just wait to max out on like a lot of bio and Ghost. He's already got Colossus covered. Now all he needs is his Ghosts.
He definitely has the Colossus department covered.
He could literally fly his main to the goal, but it looks like he wants to attack before that. In terms of army supply, I don't think he's doing that bad just because he has to walk. Yay, 145!
Yeah, but only 100 supply can actually fight. No, less than that. He also has 12 medavacs. Like out of the 143 army supply, he has 66 army supply that cannot fight the ground.
Well, what do we call this army, man?
I don't know.
It's not Bio Viking, it's Viking and a
Like-
few guys on the ground.
Like I know, I would feel bad as if I'm like walking below a bunch of like fighter jets. You know, it's like I think we got this war, but it doesn't really work if they can't shoot down. Storm goes down, connects with a few of these Vikings. No, HuK makes a Colossus.
Oh god, that guy has no idea what world he's gonna come out into.
Oh well.
Wrong timing. And he cues another one.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's actually gonna help Intense a little bit, as silly as that may sound. Like if those Colossus are extra high Templars or Archons, that just makes the fight on the ground even harder.
What are the numbers on the ground, like in terms of Marines, Molders, Zealots?
18 Marauders, 30 Marines. Like that's
30
normal.
Zealots.
Yeah, that's normally like 120, 140 supply of Terran. You know, when you have those numbers.
Where's that Archon going by itself?
HuK is freeing up supply for more Colossus. Yeah, he's at exactly robotics facility.
Yo, I'm here. Checking if there's the gold. There isn't.
How many goals do we have? We have 6 goals. Like,
Man, that
HuK can
maxed
still
out.
HuK can lose this game.
Yeah.
Like, if he doesn't land storms, things can go very bad for him because obviously you need either Storm or Colossus. He does have pretty okay upgrades as well, 2-3, but he needs Storm or Colossus to fight these bio units. So far he's connecting with a few Storms, but there are enough ghosts on the map, theoretically speaking.
Yeah, there is more Ghosts than there is Templars, but every single time Intense moves forward, he gets stormed anyway. Needs to scan more, needs to be more careful. If he denies those Templars, he has the chance. If he denies every single storm.
He lost 2 Vikings, by the way.
Oh my god,
Oh,
those
that's
speedy
some
backs.
good storms. EMP does land.
Kill that.
Hey, there are Colossus, and they actually didn't die instantly.
The storm goes off even though Intense at Cannon was ready. And he's starting to drop in supply here.
Yeah, it's 146 army supply against 147. This one High Templar from HuK has so much energy. The storm doesn't really connect. Here we go. This is a big fight. Now, these Colossus, Johan, I am confident that these Colossus will die. But there are so many Zealots on the ground with +3 armor as well. No more storms connecting. Actually, one Colossus survives. Wow, Archons are true. Oh, he lands the Vikings, I guess. You know, that will do the job. GG, good luck is called, and HuK does win the fight. Because he just had a little too much on the ground. Pretty funny series.
Oh man, those Vikings. For me, who a lot of the time gets a lot of Colossus, they would have been a nightmare. But for HuK, it was an ideal situation, I guess. And yeah, just, I guess, back and forth game here that we saw. Back and forth games.
Series. Yeah, exactly. And let's not forget about game number 2. You know, if you go over the results, if you just came home from work and you're like, HuK 2-1 Intense. Okay, Intense did well there. He won a map. Intense did more than just well. Like King's at Young Station, that was definitely his game. And this is a learning experience. He's still a very young Terran player. It's awesome to play in a tournament like this. He came relatively close, just a few best of 3s away from playing on one of the biggest stages ever in SE2 in the
Get
arena.
casted by Roddy.
of the San
Usually
Jose
only
Sharks.
the finest have that happened to them.
Wow, I casted you quite a few times in my career.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Creme de la creme. No, I think he played it very well. So we take another look at that final fight, but HuK just has an overwhelming amount of Zealots. I felt the EMPs didn't really hit the Archons, if we see those as well. That second blink, by the way, that's an excellent blink by
There was
HuK.
so much on the ground that the Stalkers were only attacking the Vikings and actually killed them before the last Colossus of its kind died.
He also landed like 6 or 7 Vikings. But overall, it comes down to game number 2, I think. Like game number 3, Intense had a couple of good drops, but he also lost a lot of bases. And I think he was a little too nervous. Like if he's comfortable at home at his settings, then I believe that he can like control Ghost Viking. Because it's a very difficult army for a Terran player to control. Like we often talk about, Terran's pretty good against Protoss now, but in that phase in the game, it's difficult for Terran not to eat those big storms.
As good as Terran is right now,
Yeah.
I will admit that managing that big army with the Ghosts against the Templars is extremely difficult. And I've played a few games of Terran myself. Played some reverse games against QX. Believe me, when he has 15 Templars on the map, he actually only needs them to win, because every time I move out, all I do is get stormed. So it's very, very hard.
Well, Paul is on the couch with HuK, who just advanced, and I would love to hear HuK's thoughts, especially what he thought about that game number 2.
Hey, Kev, yes, congrats, HuK. Well played. Finally got over the... careful there, Sue. No attacking. We've only got a few of these foreign players left. I don't want to lose them. Just talk to me, before we talk to each other about the game, talk to me about your mental preparation against Terrans right now. You've had a lot to say about it. I don't want to go over what you've said so much as to find out whether you feel like it's a mental block whenever you sit down to play a Terran player. Is it something you're consciously thinking about? Does it affect how you play other Terrans in a professional tournament like this?
It's definitely a problem. I obviously do think Terran's a little strong right now, and when I say a little, I'm being nice to Blizzard, I guess. It definitely affects me, not so much against Intense, just because I feel like we're on a similar level, even with the extreme imbalance as far as PvT goes. But when I played Gumiho, for example, I was very nervous. He's an amazing player, and he has such a wide range of builds that he can do in the TVP matchup that it's really scary to play against a really good Korean Terran player.
I was actually talking to Super earlier, and I asked him what he thought about the PvT matchup before we sat down for the interview, because I saw that he's beaten a lot of high-level Korean players, and he thinks that the matchup is based more on the skill level of the Terran player rather than so-called just going against the Terran race itself. He says that he personally thinks that the better player will always win.
Okay. We'll see. We'll see if he plays, you know, Pult, Taja, 4GG. Well, maybe not 4GG's PvT's not that great, but Pult, Taja, Gumiho even.
Yeah, he's playing Gumiho next.
Yeah. Good luck.
All right, fair enough. Let's talk about the match a little bit more. Game 1. Game 1.
Game 1.
In your eyes, in your mental thoughts, was it already a car crash moment for you? We were already thinking, oh my God, it's Terran again, I'm losing, what's going on?
I played kind of dumb, to be honest. When I saw his early Marauder, I thought he was going a pressure build, especially since I told him right before the match that Gumiho on Deadwing killed me with like 6 Marines, 1 Marauder. So I was like, oh, so he's just going to do that to me. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll just hold the push and then counterattack, but the push never came. And then I actually did decent damage, but yeah, if you get bio on top of you and you don't have an overwhelming army or you don't have splash damage, you're just going to get destroyed. And that's, I mean, I lost my army in the middle of the map, and then it was GG after that, pretty much.
And map 3, much smarter play, if I may say so. It was a more intelligent approach, the kind of approach that we've come to expect from you this year. As I said earlier on to Sean, I don't know whether you heard anything we were talking about earlier, but we both agreed that you've been playing much better StarCraft this year than maybe you did last year, even though that, you know, tournament wins might not be coming your way as they did a couple of years ago. But it definitely seems like you've improved the game, you've gone up to another level, you've started beating some really, really top-ranked players. So what's been the difference for you year on year?
Well, first off, a lot of people don't know this, but definitely I can speak for this since I've been a pro for so long. The skill level of, you know, 2011, 2012 HuK versus the skill level of even now HuK, who's not winning championships, as you said, I would destroy my old self. Like, the skill of StarCraft 2 as a whole has been raised to such a high degree. If you took an average innate pro, like Intense, I mean, he's very good. I don't want to say average, but he's good. He's a good player, but he's not like a world-class player. And you threw him back in GSL in maybe 2011, 2012, he would be a top-tier player. Other than that, what I've been doing to get better is just playing more, I guess, practicing more. I'm enjoying the game more, despite Terran. But I've been having lots of fun. So just, you know, those things and motivation, I guess.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to ask about Intense because he's an interesting young man. He's only 17 years of age. I'm sure you can remember that from a few years ago. A few years ago.
Long time.
A few years ago. I was trying to be polite to you. But just what would you give him advice? I mean, from an old timer, as it were. Now, what would you say to him about how does he improve? What is the experience? What does he take away from this tournament?
He's an amazing player. One of the biggest compliments I could give them is he has really high APM. It's like around the 330 mark. In comparison, I'm about like 220, 240 on a good day. the old man fingers don't move quite as fast, I guess. So he's a very talented player. He's gotten a lot better over the last few months. I'm sure a lot of NA pros would agree with me. Obviously, the majority of the scene hasn't seen that. For the most part, he just has to keep going to tournaments, keep trying, and slowly but surely, over that time, he'll get more used to LAN environments, get more comfortable, get some wins, get some confidence, and then if he can do that and he can lock down his nerves, he should be a really good player in 2015.
Okay, very, very good. Let's look ahead at the rest of the tournament for you. There's not much of it left. You've potentially got a meeting with your fellow, very similarly named player in the bracket, and there's a shot for you here in terms of getting through to the round of 16 and the main event itself. But would that satisfy you with where you are right now in the game?
Of course not. I mean, I don't think anybody goes into a tournament and hopes to get, top 16. It's a pretty sad goal. I wouldn't have come to this tournament if I thought that was my goal. I mean, it's doable for sure. Puck's a really good player. Zanster's a very good player. But I think I'm slightly favored against both, and hopefully I can show that. And then hopefully tomorrow I'll be playing a lot better, I guess. I've already, my first series versus Gumiho, everything felt very off, and then my series against Intense felt a lot more comfortable. Obviously, the two players are very different as well, but be it as it may.
It is tough to come in cold anyway, isn't it? At the start of the tournament, play the first game, and probably play the best player in that bracket as well.
Yeah, it's scary. I was definitely hoping that Gumiho didn't show up, but he did. So what are you going to do?
Then before you played this this whole bracket, when you had heard that both Scarlet and Major were out, how much of a, I guess, good news was that for you to hear?
Oh, it was extremely nice. I mean, having an extra spot is very, very helpful against Korean bracket of 2 Koreans, and I think the other bracket has 4 Koreans, so yeah.
Very helpful. All right, well, best of luck in your next game. Whatever it might be, we don't know who it's going to be just yet, but we'll find that out after the break. When we return, we'll update you on the brackets and let you know exactly where we are in the first bracket. And of course, don't forget, later on today we have Open Bracket 2, and tomorrow we'll move on to the start of the group stages as well. Plenty more StarCraft 2 to come. We'll see you in a few.